Welcome back, Ascenders, to the Ascended Thoughts Podcast. I'm your host, Mystic Rain. I feel an overwhelming responsibility to put it out there that the easing of lockdown restrictions and the slow opening of the economy is in no way, shape, or form related to the idea that it is actually healthy and or safe to go back outside again. The reopening of the economy is just so that the powers that be do not lose the economy. It's just so the powers that be don't have to continue paying any more money, don't have to continue paying out unemployment, and don't have to continue granting new people unemployment, because every single day a new person not only loses their life to COVID-19, but they also lose their job. The reopening of the economy has nothing to do with everyone's greater good and has everything to do with the powers that be and their selfish requirements, their selfish needs, their selfish desire for money and for power. What's happened with Corona is that all of a sudden people were put in a position, if they were fortunate enough to continue to live, no longer had to be slaves or drones to society. They no longer had to be on that hamster wheel, running, waking up at 5 a.m., making sure that they are in that long rush hour commute every morning to be at their desk by 8:30, to leave, if they're lucky, at 5 p.m. But for a lot of people, after 5 p.m., because you want to look good, you want to look like you are the prime example of a superb employee, and so maybe you stay a few extra hours later in the hopes that it will lead to a raise or promotion or just a little bit more respect. People are now in a place where they are being forced to think of alternative methods to take care of themselves and to bring in money and to bring in income, which I thoroughly believe will spark some sort of entrepreneurial boom. And in the next couple years, we're going to see so many new companies, so many new products, so many new coaches, businesses, everything under the sun, where people will have realized that in order for them to continue to survive, they will have to utilize their already existing talents. And what this is going to do is force people to create their own businesses in order to establish alternative streams of revenue to live. But on the flip side of that coin, people are now going to have their own businesses. People are now going to be self-employed. People are now going to be working for themselves, and they're no longer going to depend on the hamster wheel that society has convinced us is necessary to run on in order to be productive members of it. This is going to spark a really big entrepreneurial boom because there will not be a choice. We are about to hit a point where unemployment is going to be so high, job loss is going to be so high, the amount of closures and businesses are about to be so high, the job market is going to be so unbelievably competitive that it's going to be harder to get jobs in the future, that people are now going to be turning and resorting to themselves. They're going to be looking at themselves. They're going to be following the passions and the ideas that they've had for years, that they never had the guts to follow, because society was set up in a way to make you believe that the right way to do things was to sit at a desk all day or commit various acts of manual labor in order to be productive members of it. I will not be surprised if we start seeing so many people finally have the opportunity to pursue the passion that they have always wanted to pursue, that they've never had the opportunity to do before. You see, the government is trying desperately hard to avoid having to bail out the people again. In the United States, that $1,200 that Trump decided to send out is not going to be enough to cover the expenses that everyone has. People are already beginning to drown in debt if they weren't already drowning before. And the government, I will not be surprised, probably will have to issue some or other form of bailout or forgiveness plan for various people and various families for various situations. It is incredible to me The level of audacity that exists when a government can suspend federal student loan payments until September, but require that everybody go back to work right now. That means that the government is aware of the fact that this is going to be a long-term process, that it's not going away anytime soon, and that they don't have any answers for what the current state of environment is and or how to fix it. But the fact that they want us to go back to work now in order to open up the economy should tell you that there are alternative motives there. The government is not interested, at least in the United States, on a federal level, in protecting us people. They are not interested in keeping us safe, and they are not interested in making sure that we stay alive. So it's important for you, ascenders, to make sure that you are taking care of yourself in this process. Make sure that you're being diligent when it comes to washing your hands. Make sure that every time you come in the house from being outside, that you try to push yourself to take a shower or take a bath. Make sure that you are washing your clothes more often. Make sure that you are washing your face more often. Make sure that you are trying to remember to wear your mask on a regular basis. If you don't have access to masks, or you don't know where to get a mask, there are tons of YouTube videos and resources on the internet that can show you how to make your own mask from things that you have at home, so you are not out there completely unprotected. Make sure your hands are protected. If you have gloves, fantastic. If you don't, make sure you are washing them. If you're fortunate enough to have hand sanitizer, make sure you are allowing yourself to utilize those resources, because if you were to get sick from this, there is no vaccine. So the best thing that you can do right now is to take care of yourself in the process. And there are tons of things that you can do to make sure that you will be all right in the end should you get sick. When it comes to my family, I know that I have told them that I feel like it is almost unreasonable to allow yourself to be worried about catching coronavirus, simply because it's already out there and it's everywhere, and you probably have more odds of catching it than you do not. But you should not be afraid, because there are preventative measures that you can take in order to make sure you are taken care of. You can watch your diet, you can start taking vitamins, make sure your vitamin C levels are high, make sure your vitamin D levels are high, and make sure your vitamin level is high enough to strengthen your immune system so it can fight the things that it needs to fight off. Make sure you are strengthening your lungs, doing meditation, doing breathing exercises to keep your lungs strong and healthy. Make sure you are ingesting your fruits, ingesting your vegetables, and making sure your body is getting the fuel that it needs in order to combat any sickness that it may have. You see, Ascenders, you are not helpless. It's not like you are completely out of control, or that there is nothing that you can do to take your power back in this situation. In fact, it's everything to the contrary. You can be diligent in how you choose to live your life going forward. We are now put in a very interesting position where we are now being asked by the universe to make a decision on the life that we wish to lead after this. Everyone's life is in the process of changing drastically. So if you are one of the ones that feels like it's just you, or that no one understands your stress or your pain or your worry or your grief, that is so untrue. It is farther from the truth. We are all going through this on a collective, grand, ginormous scale, and everyone understands what it is that you are going through. And we are all in the position where we are being asked to make a deliberate decision on how we choose to live our life going forward, who we want to be, and what we want to stand for. Are we going to allow this to be an opportunity for us to now pursue the passions and the happiness and the life that we previously dreamed for ourselves, but hung it up because we thought the hamster wheel was the proper way to go? Because guess what, Ascenders? There is no more hamster wheel. There is no more sitting in traffic waiting to get to work. That is not happening. The hamster wheel has broken, and the powers that be are fully aware of this, which is why they're desperately trying to get everyone back on this wheel. You now have the opportunity and the decision to make, Ascenders, to decide whether or not you are going to step back on that wheel. And if you do decide to step back on that wheel, you now have the opportunity to decide how that wheel works for you. and decide whether or not you want to run that wheel at your pace, or if you're going to allow yourself to succumb to the pace that society tells you you're supposed to run the wheel at. It is all up to you right now. All those passions, all those passion projects, those ideas, those business ideas that you wanted to start, but you never allowed yourself the opportunity to pursue it. Right now is the opportunity to pursue it. There is no time better than right now. The collective humanity are currently standing at a giant fork in the road, a huge fork in the road. And it is everyone's decision to decide whether or not they want to continue going down the path that they have already been going down, or if they want to drop everything right here and choose a new one. I suggest, Ascenders, that you choose a new one. If you are one of the few that are fully 100% happy and satisfied with the current path that you are on, I can assure you there are things in your current path that you can tweak to make it a little bit better and a little bit more fulfilling for you, because you, Ascender, deserve peace and you deserve happiness. And you are now in a position in your life where you are given the space to pursue those things, because everything has stopped. Everything and everyone is in a position right now where they are being forced to take stock of things, of events, of the past, and of where they are today and where they see themselves going. And Ascenders, if you see yourself continuing down a path that you do not want to be in or on, it is your decision right now and your opportunity right now to abandon that path entirely and simply choose another one. I genuinely believe, Ascenders, that for those that want to get off the ride in order to ride a different ride, this will be the easiest time for you to do so, because everything and everyone has stopped. The world has stopped. Sometimes it's hard to get off a ride when the ride is in motion, but there is no ride that is currently in motion. So while we're going through everything that we're going through, allow yourself this opportunity to figure out where you want your life to actually go now. And grant yourself the courage to actually pursue that. And while you are pursuing these things, make sure to stay safe in today's current environment, and always question what you hear on the news or from people that claim themselves to be authority. When it comes to the news, allow yourself to view it from an ascended perspective. Allow yourself to analyze it with ascended thoughts. And always remember that there is so much to the story. And that right now, everything that is occurring is nothing but smoke and mirrors. And that everything that you see and hear about everything that's going on in the world right now is coming from a very low vibrational and low frequency. And you are in the process of ascending. You are in the process of raising those vibrations and of raising your frequencies. And so if you see or hear something that disturbs you, I ask you to pause, Ascender, and take a second to view what you're hearing or seeing from an elevated and ascended frequency. And when you start doing that, you will have the ability to read between the lines. What they are telling you is not always true. The numbers that they are giving you are not always true. The numbers are a lot worse than what they say. It is nothing to be afraid of, but you should be aware so you can make educated and decent decisions on how to live your life fully. But also know and remember that the easing of the lockdown is not because the threat has dissipated. The threat is ever present. It's probably more present now than it was when everyone first found out about it. They just don't want to lose any more money. And we have all become dispensable to them. So when you are out and about, make sure to take every measure possible, everything that you can do to make sure you stay safe, because there are people on this earth that appreciate you being here. Remember to examine everything from an ascended frequency. Everything you do from this point forward should come from an ascended frequency, and allow yourself to live a life of ascended frequencies, and grant yourself the courage to use today's circumstances and turn it into something that benefits you and brings you lots of blessings. We can sit on the couch and we can wallow about the world's current situation and we can worry about it, or we could take our power back, allow ourselves to feel empowered, and choose to live a more satisfying life with ascended frequencies. Question everything they tell you, Ascenders, and choose to live a more fulfilling life by taking those opportunities you have once put aside. There is no time but the present time. Stay inspired and keep ascending.